All right, everyone, thanks for your patience. I believe we are now ready to get started. Once again, thank you guys for joining us today. My name is Ian Schaefer, and I'm going to be your Senior Product Specialist talking to you guys today about AWS hosting and ConstructionSuite available now in the cloud. Again, we're going to be talking almost exclusively about the estimating features and functions today and why you guys might want to consider putting your estimating in the cloud. For those of you who already use ConstructionSuite, we'll be able to show off some of the great speed and reliability and the benefits of having it on AWS hosted through their cloud hosting systems. For those of you who don't have an estimating system yet, we'll show you probably about a dozen reasons why you should consider moving to ConstructionSuite. And along those lines too, before we dive into too much, let's go ahead and talk for just a moment about our company, how we've come to the point where we're partnering with Amazon, and why we've decided to go with cloud hosting as a solution for our clients, for you guys. So first of all, my name is Ian Schaefer. I'm a Senior Product Specialist here at UDA Technologies. Been here for almost 10 years. I think it's over 8. Can't remember if I've hit the 9-year mark yet. But we've been around for a while. UDA actually predates me being part of the company by about 10 years. It means UDA Technologies has been in business for about 20 years, selling software for construction management or project solutions. This includes some of the original packages that we used to offer, which were Excel-based estimates, Microsoft Word-based contracts and reports. We even had a plugin that worked with Outlook originally for our contact management. Along those lines, we actually did really, really well back in the late 90s and the early 2000s. Around middle 2000s, I think it was 2005 it was late 2006, we released our first ConstructionSuite software. Now the ConstructionSuite software looks like, let's go ahead and pop in here, it looks like this today. ConstructionSuite is a new unified platform that's designed to pull everything together. We have an estimating platform in here that's no longer Excel-based. We have our own Gantt chart scheduling software. We've got contracts, documents, reports, even a full CRM system, with the idea here that ConstructionSuite will be able to take you from first contact with any leads all the way through closeout and warranty work for all the jobs that you guys might do and anything in between. We've got clients working with these systems today that are managing jobs in the multi-million dollars for a single project. I think the biggest that I've worked with to date has been an $80 million project. We've got some clients, on the other hand, that work with many, many small jobs. A few $100s here or there for repair work, a couple of $1,000s maybe for deck installs or something like that. So the system is designed to provide solutions for a wide spectrum of builders. Now, the reason that I mention that is, over the past 10 years since we've been working with ConstructionSuite, we've started as a residential building solution company and added in commercial content. We've partnered with organizations like NARI and Remodelers Advantage to provide solutions for them. We're also building additional platforms or solutions for specialty trades. We've released some specialized templates for electricians and mechanical like I think plumbing and HVAC are in there. We've got a ton of different templates, different solutions available for a wide variety of different builders, and it's important because that gives you guys the opportunity to go out and do a wide variety of different work. We'll take a look at some of those solutions here shortly, but again, just kind of the background for this is we've had ConstructionSuite, the desktop software, available for about 10 years. We do have hundreds of thousands of people who are using it, even some of the original versions. And they're managing billions and billions of dollars worth of projects. Up until recently, those billions of dollars worth of projects they were managing were all anchored to computers in their office. Now, we have been looking at cloud-hosted solutions for ConstructionSuite, again, for years. I think the first that I recall was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And ultimately what we were looking for was a solution that allowed you to get into this important, valuable estimating information from anywhere. We have tried web-based databases that ConstructionSuite could connect into. The download times took a little too long and we weren't really happy with them, so we decided to switch over to cloud hosting or partnering with organizations like Cloud9 Real-Time or trying to work with companies like Right Networks for hosting ConstructionSuite. And we were met with varying levels of success. But usually what we found is the technology at the time was a little slow, it was a little burdensome, and it was hard to stay connected and work with some of the information. We found a solution to that, and it's actually resting with Amazon. Amazon has a web hosting system or service that they provide, AWS, and AWS allows us to build cloud-hosted servers for you, our users, and host programs like ConstructionSuite and QuickBooks and maybe PlanSwift and a couple of other programs as well that we've already started installing. And it allows us to do this at a low cost to you on a system that's available worldwide. Everywhere, just about anywhere in the world that you go, barring maybe Antarctica, I think, you can access this cloud-hosted server and get stunning speed off of these machines. We've actually looked at them and did some comparisons, and we find that in most cases, these cloud-hosted servers are faster than your local workstation, which means that you can go through and open up estimates and change orders and contracts and proposals, all of this in record time. And you can actually get into and work with large amounts of data in a very, very smooth platform that allows you guys to get in there and update quickly when it's important, maybe when you're not in the office. And we're going to take a look at how some of this works. But before I dive into it, we were kind of talking about this a little earlier, Jordan. What sort of cloud-hosted estimating systems or cloud-based systems have you guys seen so far? On the sales side, what are people coming to us from? Like, what kind of systems have they used in the past? I know, like we always say, one of the biggest competitors for ConstructionSuite has always been Excel. But what does it look like? What do these cloud-hosted systems look like?
Yeah, when you start looking at estimating platforms that are available, from anywhere, when you're looking at systems that you can pull up maybe on a tablet or your laptop, so you had to pull over and jump on a public Wi-Fi system, what we found is that those cloud estimating platforms get the job done for the most part, but there's always that one thing, there's always this one piece where, I wish it did this, or I wish it did that. And in a lot of cases, what we find is that this or that usually comes in the form of being able to pull up more robust reporting, or maybe it's the ability to dive into an items database that lets you kind of go through and figure out what prices are in your area. And, we found that nobody does it as well as ConstructionSuite does. We've put years of love and labor into our platform to the point that it really just blows everything else out of the water. But, like you were saying before, it ended up depending on the power of your desktop computer. Well, now, leveraging Amazon's ridiculous powerful warehouse and the increases and advances in internet accessibility and speed, now we can get all of those, I wish it did this, into your hands at record speeds without having to wait for, pulling up and waiting for your phone to load or something like that. Now we can leverage this ridiculous power on Amazon's side with our ridiculous functions and features that we've put in place into ConstructionSuite.
Yeah.
And I think you may have seen a little bit of that there when you were pulling up and kind of highlighting some of the items database and other pieces I was referencing.
And we have actually a lot of current ConstructionSuite users who have already made the switch into using the Amazon hosted cloud services that we provide. We've set them up with servers and they've started working in there. And again, we hear a unanimous, oh my God, it's so fast whenever they get in there and they work with it. And a lot of that stems from the fact that we've had clients come to us from other hosting services. And the hosting services that they're coming from are slow to load, they're maybe a little bit less reliable, they're a little bit less accessible perhaps, maybe there's too many permissions, or maybe they try to lock it down so you only get to specific programs. But what you'll find in our case is with these Amazon hosted servers that we're providing for all of our clients, you've got your local computer, there's a little application that you can open up to get into the cloud hosted server, and it is also a full-blown computer, if I can get back to it behind all the programs that I've opened. It's a full-blown computer that has programs on it like QuickBooks, like ConstructionSuite, or Adobe, or again, Google, whatever it might be. There's a wide variety of programs that you can install and use from here, which means that all of the old, more powerful desktop applications are now available from whatever device you guys log into. Today with ConstructionSuite, we're going to be taking a look at some of the advantages of using a quote-unquote desktop software from the cloud. And again, the accessibility, the ease of use, the reliability. I think Amazon calls it 11 nines of uptime, which means 99.9999 to whatever percent availability for them. It means that it's always going to be online and available for you. And we take care of all of the software updates. Amazon takes care of all the hardware and the maintenance there, so all you need to do is get in and take advantage of the fact that this information is online, available, and wicked fast. Now again, diving into some of the tools that we have for you guys today. ConstructionSuite is the big one. So when you open up ConstructionSuite, all of your project information is going to be available right here on the desktop. So from here, you'll be able to click into the projects list and see all of your recent projects that you've been working with. Or over on the right, we've got the recent projects list here as well. When you dive into the projects, all the information for your job is going to be front and center. Again, all of this is being pulled in from under project details. You've got some of the estimate information that's coming in. If you've got a schedule for the job, maybe you'll see some activities down here, or to-dos, tasks that you guys might have created will show up here as well. And for any resources that you're assigning throughout your estimates and your schedules, you'll also see the short and sweet little related contacts list here, which just pulls up all of the people who are going to be working with you to succeed on these jobs. Again, all of this information is interconnected and it's pulled into this dashboard for a project so that you guys will be able to step right back in where you left off the last time you were working on the job. Now from here, again, under recent files, you'll see a lot of the files that we were just opening up a moment ago. There's going to be an estimate in here that I'm going to take a look at here shortly. I also have schedules, change orders, RFQs. We might have a contract for the job show up here as well. All of this is accessible, which means all of the information is going to be available to you if you're using something like a Microsoft Surface from your client's location. So if you are a Surface Pro user and you happen to be in their kitchen, maybe sitting down at the kitchen table talking to them about something, you could always pull open a contract and flip it around to show it to them. One of the huge benefits here for the contract side is there's also an option under page layout to sign the document right here. So again, if you're in their office or if you're in their kitchen or wherever it might be, and you've got a Surface which has a touchscreen, then you can have them sign off on contracts right there on the spot. But of course the contract needs a dollar amount. The dollar amount comes from the estimate, and the estimates start in, let's close that down. The estimates will start here in the estimating tab. Now in ConstructionSuite, we do have 10 years of history working with this application. Add another 10 if you count all of the original construction office software that we've worked with. And how we leverage that for you is a collection of estimate templates that have been refined many times over the past 20 years. Now this collection of estimating templates includes things that you guys are going to be familiar with. We have CSI 16 division templates, we have 50 division templates, we've got standard templates for residential building or remodeling, we've got light commercial and commercial master templates in here as well. As I mentioned earlier, we also have templates, estimating templates for specialty trades as well. And most of these have a preview option. If you hover over the icon, it'll give you a rough idea of what kind of information is going to be available within that specific template. Now, the part that I love the most about these templates is every single one of them is customizable. Now, what that means is whenever you're looking at any of your estimate templates, you can open up the template and decide to make a few changes to it and then save it either as your own version of that estimate, or you can go through and modify the contents that are available with it, maybe adjusting the cost coding system to follow along with the guidelines provided by maybe a sponsor that you guys have with Remodeler's Advantage. Or maybe you guys work with a group in NAHB and they've got their own coding structure that they recommend. Those can all be added into the estimates here, and you guys can save these as new templates that follow your numbers, your systems. Now you'll find a lot of those templates here available in the list as well, maybe starred, but some of us prefer the old style Windows file storage system. So if you flip over to the Custom Templates tab, you'll find a lot of the old folders in here as well where you can organize your estimate templates in a way that maybe fits you and your team a little bit better as well. Now along those lines, I already see one of the questions that's come through, and it's actually talking about hosting and multiple licenses as well. We're talking about putting together some of the estimate templates for this, as you work with your team to put live estimates together for the job, I do want to remind you guys that you can actually have multiple people logged into this hosted server all at the same time. This computer would allow up to 10 people at a time to work together, either on similar jobs, the same jobs. Maybe I'm working on the estimate while Jordan here is working on the schedule, and Sydney might be drawing up some contracts for this job. Or maybe we're just putting in some leads and we're all contributing some of the information that's come through to that. Again, on this particular computer, we'll have 10 people, up to 10 people at a time working on it, and all of us will be contributing our expertise to the success of these projects. Again, maybe it's through using some of the templates or making some modifications here. Maybe it's just through our own piece of each project as we're working through it. Now again, just diving back into some of these additional details for the estimates themselves. Again, multiple different options here. For me, the estimate that we're working on today actually uses the residential master template as the kind of backbone for the estimate itself. And the residential master looks kind of like this. We've got categories, subcategories, and a third layer of detail in those subcategories for line items. All of this information is going to be available in your estimates, and all of this information is going to be available to update or to report off of regardless of where you are. Now, if you guys are anything like me, I kind of fat finger my way through things when I'm using a touchscreen, when I'm using a Surface or my phone perhaps to connect into this. So there's a few key pieces here for the estimates that you guys will probably want to take advantage of now that it's going to be hosted in the cloud. If you need to make some quick updates, a fast and easy way to do that is to go ahead and structure your estimate so it takes advantage of some of the new features. Now, a big one for me, again, fat fingers, so I like to lock down a lot of these estimates to make sure that I don't accidentally click the wrong spot. This has saved me countless hours of going back through and reviewing these things. For example, we could go down and go through the estimate and lock down some of the name columns, lock down the notes and descriptions, lock down a few additional areas in here as well, just to make sure that I don't click the wrong space. I don't want to be working on an estimate and accidentally click something like try to click into and update a quantity, but I accidentally click the wrong cell and it turns the subcategory into a lump sum. This might change the dollar amount. If I lock it down, this isn't something that we would have to concern ourselves with. We lock that section down in the estimate, and now we don't have to worry about these accidents. So again, that locking mechanism, which is new for ConstructionSuite 9, is a huge feature enhancement that takes advantage of some of the cloud hosting functionality here. So if you guys have a chance to take a look through it, please use that. It's going to help you guys. It's going to save you a lot of time and effort. Now, slipping this back into detailed mode, you guys might find that under division, the first division here, planning, or the first category for planning, a lot of this is going to be pretty customized data. We're going to be getting pricing in from our architects, or maybe we do our own design work, so we'll put in our own prices for those. As you work through, of course, you guys can click into and update the numbers. It should be a pretty easy process. This, unlike most cloud-based estimating systems or web-based estimating systems, it's very, very keyboard friendly. So if you guys are going through and you're tapping up and down on the keyboard, it allows you to navigate through very easily, very quickly. You can also tab through or shift tab to go back and forth, enter and shift enter to move up and down, and it's a very, very easy way for you guys to quickly navigate through. Now again, if you're using something like an iPad, probably not going to necessarily have a keyboard attached. So maybe in those situations, you take advantage of the touchscreen aspect to it instead. Now, one of the other things that you can do is, of course, you can zoom in. There's a little slide bar down here. So if you are using something with a smaller screen, again, phone maybe to connect to this guy, zoom in a little bit, increase the size of the numbers so that you can see what you're working with a little bit better. If you're not, you can come back down and zoom back to the standard set and work with it maybe from the surface where you guys do take advantage of some of the keyboard friendly features, or there's a specialized stylus there. Where did we put those? The little pen for the surface where you can go through and kind of tap on those areas. Again, great for me because it allows me to get in there and actually select the right areas every time, and then you can just go through and start updating some of the dollar amounts or the numbers as you get additional quotes and things like that too. Again, most of this information is going to be there, and if you are working from the cloud, you guys may want to take a look at some of the different columns that are available as well, which we have some easy little tools for you there too. Once again, tapping on some of these predefined views down in the bottom right-hand corner might allow you to switch between this, which is the standard view, and perhaps a financial view. If you wanted to expand it out and see a little bit more information for things like inline markups, sales tax, actual costs, things like that, all of this becomes available through the financial view. You can also switch over to the organizational view to start to see who you've assigned as resources or awarded contracts to for your subcontractors. You can see all of this through the resource view in this case, or if we're going back to and adjusting the numbers, you can always go back into the standard view, which helps you hyper-focus on just this small space, this little area here. So again, these predefined views down in the bottom right-hand corner become really, really handy when you're working with different devices, because all that information allows you to super focus in. Now, we also talked about earlier with the estimating features and the functions. Of course, this residential master template is a fabulous starting place for most of you guys. I know we've already had some of you say that you're specialized builders, so I think we have some roofing companies in here. She's from my own team, so that one's a little different. It looks like we do have several specialized builders in here today, actually, which is really, really exciting. And for you guys might want to go through and customize this a little bit further to remove certain sections that you guys don't use often. Now, some of that might be something like under lot costs. If we don't need that, you can always click on the lot cost section, and in the toolbar up at the top, you'll have options to go through and delete categories or subcategories or rows or columns, whatever it might be. You guys have all of this additional information. It looks like I just chose to delete the category, but that's okay. But as you guys go through and you work with these various different things, you'll always find that while the right-click menu is very, very handy, all of the options exist in the toolbar up at the top as well, so that if you guys are working on something like a Surface or an iPad, you don't have to worry about losing the right-click. It's all still available for you guys at any time. So again, just take a look up in the edit menu if you need to do things like deleting sections or adding sections or adjusting some of the information available. You'll also notice from here that while you may want to copy or cut and paste categories to rearrange them, you'll also have very easy options to move things up and down to reorganize your estimate as you're sitting there talking to your client. Or working with a site super on a job or talking to a sub about what's going to be included. You can pull this information up and move it around as need be so that you can keep it all organized in a way that makes sense to you on the spot. Now, again, some of the other options that you guys may have to work through as you're working on these estimates make a little bit more sense perhaps under framing. You may want to go through in the framing area and set up some assemblies for some of the work that you guys are doing. This becomes really, really common when we start to dive into things like insulation and drywall, or where are some of the other tile and ceramics or floor covering. These areas tend to rely pretty heavily on assemblies because the assemblies give you the opportunity to put one number as a quantity for the entire assembly and have that propagate through all the different areas and update quantities for everything else as you're working on it. Now you might think, why is this important? Why would we work with something like that? And to give you an idea of why it might make a little bit more sense, if we go through and take a look at a subcategory here, like floor system materials, and we realize that the starting point for floor system materials is going to be, let's just say that we've got 2,000 square feet of flooring. I'm not going to set it to 2,000 square feet right now because then it's going to multiply everything by 2,000. That's a bit much. But let's just say that for the initial measurement, we've got this set up as our assembly on the subcategory for floor systems. If we needed to double this number for some reason, maybe the customer decided they wanted a 2-story house instead of a 1-story house, or maybe the office space is expanding into the next shop over as well, which we actually did just a couple of years ago. In this case, you can easily double the quantities for everything by adjusting the assembly quantity, which goes through and increases the requirements for everything that you're working on. Now again, as we're looking at some cloud hosting solutions, this means that while you're in the office and you have the ability to focus, you can structure all of these estimates within your estimates and your templates so everything is already ready for you to jump in and work with. From there, all you need to do is go out to the job site, take care of a quick measurement, and update the assembly to match that measurement for whatever it is, which allows you to become a little bit more accurate for anything that you're working on. Now, of course, if you need to, you can always go into and adjust the individual quantities for the items within the assembly, if need be. And this just helps you refine that little bit further for anything that you guys are working on. So as you guys are going through and you're operating, keep in mind that the assemblies allow you guys to update quantities and numbers quickly. And then you can further refine if you need to. Otherwise, we can just go back to and reset everything back to the way it was before. So again, assemblies, very, very beneficial. And if you are working with RS Means Costbooks, you'll actually find a lot of the assemblies already available in RS Means as well. I'm opening up the commercial Costbook, which is one of the RS Means Costbooks available to any commercial versions of ConstructionSuite. The commercial Costbook comes with a huge library of assemblies as well. Not only does it come with 40,000 items or more, but the assembly side has a lot of this information pre-built and pre-structured so that you guys can go through and find something for your area. Don't forget as well that if you guys are going to be using RS Means, it has a space in here for you to update your postal code or zip code or region, whatever it might be, and that will give you more accurate prices for your area. From there, again, if you need to insert anything like that, you can select the assembly that you'd like to insert, click the option to insert it into your estimate. It'll ask you how much you need inserted for the assembly itself, and you just put in your numbers and go from there. Now, we were talking about this in one of our meetings as well. Jordan, how often have you had customers coming to us looking for something like RS Means, or they're coming from a cloud-based system that doesn't include any kind of price system or price checking tools or anything like that? Does it happen often?
It does happen often, actually. And I think it's one of the big draws to UDA Technologies and ConstructionSuite in the first place. I think that what's really exciting now is that those clients that have come to us looking for something a little more powerful, something that does have an items database, whether something for them to reference or something that they can build on top of, now they can push that back out and start accessing that anywhere they go. So they need to make a quick reference, they can jump right back into it. It is definitely something that I've run into both in the past and recently, and it's something that ConstructionSuite does really, really well.
And that actually does remind me of another situation for one of our electrical subcontractors that came to us. It's been a little while now, but they were looking for something to provide a price sheet for repair work that they were doing for the jobs that they had. What they ended up doing in their case was they built an Excel spreadsheet, they hosted it on Google Sheets, and they would look it up and then handwrite their invoices and every single time they went out to do repair work. With something like this, you can actually get a more professional proposal out of them. It can still be quick, but you can actually create custom cost books in here, or as Jordan, as you mentioned, you can actually just update some of the additional pricing available through RS Means. If you put this information in, then you can put together quick estimates for any maintenance work or any work. If you go through and you put those together, then you can actually generate the proposals directly from here as well. Our proposals that would be generated beat handwritten proposals every time. Every time. You get a much more professional looking document. Again, if it's something that you guys decide that you want to proceed with the customer on the spot, you can actually have them sign off on these things before you guys even get started. These can even be turned into things like work orders or purchase orders on demand as well. So again, all of that documentation, all of that reporting capabilities, even your own little spreadsheets or cost sheets for labor rates, for material requirements, or whatever it might be, all of that can be built into the estimating tool so you guys can use it on the spot or on the fly. So again, the vast majority of this information is going to be available to you guys when you're working with the estimates as well. And don't forget, if you are inserting, those come in as assemblies as well. So if you guys are predefining standard work that you guys might be doing, if you're running like a maintenance company or you guys do have warranty work and you just want to be able to track your own costs for that, keep in mind that you can put in some of the standard warranty work, like maybe you guys are reinstalling banisters for stairs. That's a pretty easy assembly. You can just figure out how long it's got to be, and then you can put in the labor rates for it and everything like that. Quick and easy assembly there. Or even the stairs themselves. If you guys have to go out and do repair work, maybe you can standardize the assemblies for that. Interior drywall. Super quick and easy. If you guys especially have to go through and do patchwork, you can do some measurements to figure out how big that has to be. All of this can be built into your own RS Means cost books. You can even export and import these too to make sure that you always have the pricing right. Which means if you're talking to a sub, export the spreadsheet, email it off to them really quickly. All of that can be done from AWS's cloud-hosted server. And while you're sitting there talking to them, I think the best part about this is when you send it, you're right there with them. If you happen to be in the same spot, So you can show them and walk them through exactly what you expect so that you get the exact results you want every single time. You're literally just taking it with you when you go to them and say, this is how I need it done, do it for me please. And they can. They can get it done right there either on the spot or they can provide that information later, but the best part about it is you've given them the instruction that they need to succeed. Now, again, diving back into the estimating features and functions. Again, we've talked about assemblies, we've talked about the locking mechanism, we've talked about some of these predefined views and the Costbooks. One of the other big pieces that I'd like to kind of draw your guys' attention to is one of what I would consider to be the more advanced estimating features, and that's going to be your dimensions available within the estimates themselves. Now, a lot of you hopefully have had a chance to take a look at takeoff softwares like maybe PlanSwift or eTakeoff or CAD Soft or even maybe design softwares like Chief Architect or AutoCAD Revit. Most of these softwares give you the ability to do either the designs or trace existing PDFs or designs to come up with a list of materials. The way they operate is you're taking a look at a set of blueprints, you draw a little trace around a room that you guys are going to be working off of, it calculates things like the perimeter of the room or the area of the room, and then you drag your parts and assemblies into that trace and it calculates all the materials that you guys need. Sometimes, depending on how you set it up, it might do labor or something like that as well. They rarely take into account equipment usage or subcontractor costs, like if you've got a flat dollar amount. Most of that information would either have to be built into it or they just don't include it with the takeoff software. Now, what we've always done in ConstructionSuite is provided a list of dimensions that can be accessed through the estimating menu or the project directly. Now, with the dimensions, again, some of this might be fairly standardized. Some of it might be completely custom created. If you guys have ever seen my 2-minute drill on YouTube, you'll know that the dimensions is one of these key features for being able to knock out an estimate in 2 minutes. Roughly. But as you guys go through and you work with one of these things, the dimensions are going to be those measurements that you were looking at. So if in a takeoff software you draw a trace around a room, you might determine that the room is going to be 150 square feet. You might come into the area here then for the bonus room and say that this is 150 square meters. No, let's make that square feet. Are we working in London today? Where is this? No, the server is our time. Looking for square feet. Why didn't I just type it in? There we go, square feet. Now, again, when you're doing the measurements in this case, you figure out what the trace is going to be. This measurement, this dimension, can now be applied wherever it needs to. So if we go into floor covering, for example, we decide that this is going to have hardwood floors in the bonus room. There is an additional column that we can turn on. Show hide columns. Let's go find the quantities and dimensions. There we are. And let's say that we wanted to apply this dimension to installation labor for hardwood flooring. In this case, all we have to do is click into the field for it, apply the bonus room, click OK, and there it is, 150 square feet throughout the whole set. Now, if we needed to change something about that, again, maybe the bonus room is not a 15 by 10, maybe it's a 15 by 15. We could go back up to the dimensions, again under the estimating section, edit the dimensions in this case, 15 by 15 would be 225, I hope. Make that change, click OK, and it automatically updates everything in the estimate where the bonus room is applied. Now again, you might be thinking, okay, that's kind of neat. Why would we use that? In the project itself, when you're looking at the project, each project in ConstructionSuite has a list of dimensions that you are expecting to measure when you go out to a job site. These dimensions and the values for the dimensions can be reached right here, right from this main platform. So if you ever go out to a job site and you just need to punch in your measurements, instead of writing them down on a yellow legal pad, you can plug them in directly. You pull out your phone, you do the measurement, you just start typing the numbers in directly. This means then when you open up the estimate in ConstructionSuite, in order to get the right values to all of the quantities where those dimensions apply, you can refresh the dimensions and it will auto-update quantities. Now again, if we take this a step further, you can actually define in your estimate template where all of your dimensions apply ahead of time, which then means that when you pull the estimate into the job, all of your measurements, or the vast majority of them at least, will be ready to be predefined and plugged right in based on a couple of measurements that you guys do on the job site with your customer. When you're doing the first walkthrough, you can go in and plug in those numbers, and it fits right into your estimate. It cuts hours out of the estimating process doing something like that. And if you realize you do have to make a couple of changes, all you have to do is open up and edit the dimension value, click OK, and it will auto-update the estimate itself. So again, huge benefit here to be had by updating those dimensions. Now, if you're working with RS Means Costbooks as well, there's actually a double whammy here. You can take care of two birds with one stone, because all the Costbooks build a link to the item that you guys plugged in. So if you're updating your pricing information and you have the dimension set and you have your item linked from the estimate here, you've got another button here that can refresh all your item costs. I have clients that we've been working with since I first started here 8 years ago or 9 years ago that are still successfully using Costbooks that they built when ConstructionSuite was brand new. This means 10 years ago they built a Costbook. Prices have changed God knows how many times in that time. And as you're working your way through that, all you got to do is update your Costbook. Click this button every time you use the same estimate for 10 years. And they never had to manually update their prices because the Costbook took care of all that. So you pull it in, you click the button, and all your prices are up to date. You update the quantities or the values for the dimensions, and all your quantities are now up to date. And then all you have to do is go to this happy little category sheet at the end where you plug in the amount of money that you want to make on the job, go into that profit. Let's say this time we're going to make it 15% profit, even though it only took us 10 minutes to do the estimate. There it is. It's all going to be built in there as well, and it does those calculations for you on the fly. So once again, all of this information is going to be available, and depending on how much of it you want to be able to put in, you can take advantage of the fact that all of these tools, all of these features that are typically only available in a desktop software are now going to be available to you guys anywhere you go because you have AWS in place. Again, all of this information is going to be available to make your life easier while you're estimating as well. Our target here is to provide the most powerful detailed estimating everywhere. That means anybody can use it from any job site, from any location, from any coffee shop. Anywhere you want to go, you'll be able to access all of these tremendously powerful tools. And speaking of tremendous, you can take the results of these estimates and push them over to QuickBooks as well. So another plug for Murph on that one. William Murphy, one of the writers for Intuitive Accountant magazine, had planted that seed for UDA Technologies probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, and I can't get it out of my head. The integration, he said, was, in a word, tremendous, because it takes all of this effort, all of this work that you've put into building the right numbers into this estimate, and it pushes them over to QuickBooks just by clicking this button. Which, quick reminder, most construction companies that take a look at QuickBooks gravitate toward QuickBooks Desktop. It has the advantage of stronger job costing tools, better, more detailed reporting capabilities, more information available through the items list over the QBO products and services list. We find probably about 90% of our clients who are using one version of QuickBooks tend to go to QuickBooks Desktop. The other 10% use QuickBooks Online. Now, this may change in the very near future. With Construction Online's new enhancements to the QuickBooks Online integration features, Construction Online is going to be able to provide the same strength of integration online to online as we're doing desktop to desktop right now with ConstructionSuite and QuickBooks Desktop. But in this case, you can take advantage of either one. If you guys already use QuickBooks Desktop, great. Open up your QuickBooks program through AWS and you can get to it from anywhere. I don't need to do the update right now. But there it is. Then when it comes time to send over your estimate, again, same thing. You just pop it open. Pop open your estimate and push it over right here. Create a QuickBooks estimate and over it goes. Looks like I'm a little behind on my own updates. It's okay. I believe the vast majority of those are for payroll, which I thankfully don't have to do through QuickBooks. We have a lot of people doing it. We actually did run through a lot of those updates for our AWS clients already, I think 2 weeks ago perhaps, or maybe 3. But thankfully I don't have to juggle the numbers in that case. And let's go back in. Do we have this one already over there? We do. Lot 185 is there, but that's okay. We'll send it again. It's a pretty quick process. Yes, I know. We've already got an estimate there. We'll push it over to QuickBooks as well. Anyway. Oh, one of my line items is too long. That's okay.
It's our specialty item.
Yeah, as we're working through this, though, again, all of this information becomes available in there. The names, thankfully, show up for... That was one of the RS Means items, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the name will still show up under the description, so we still know what we're working with, even though QuickBooks did need to shrink it down a little bit to keep it in the items list. But once again, it's quick, it's easy. It takes advantage of the fact that they're both now on the same cloud-hosted computer, but the integration is still seamless. So once again, if you are working with all these different programs, rather than having to take the trip back to your office and hoping that you remember all the numbers, or writing it down on the yellow legal pad first before you take it back, in this case, if you're working on an estimate, your bookkeeper needs you guys to pass the estimate over so that they can start putting in bills. You open it up and 5 minutes later it's done. Your bookkeeper, from wherever they happen to be, they can be at home or they can be on a different office or states away for all that matters, they can still get into and access all the information that you put together for them too. And once again, it's available all the time online in the cloud. And if you guys have any questions about getting something like this set up, or you're interested in moving to the UDA cloud, which partners with Amazon, from something like Cloud9 or Right Networks or Harbor Cloud or one of the many other cloud-hosted solutions available, give us a call today and we can take you through a little one-on-one session where you can see it in action. For anything else, I think that's going to cover most of the features and the functions that we have for you guys today. A couple of other shortcuts actually that we were talking about before I let you go completely. A couple of other features that we were looking at in the estimates themselves. I actually talked to somebody about this today. We went through the file system to create new schedules through ConstructionSuite. And we were doing this because the act of creating the schedule can be a little time consuming sometimes, but if you've built a smart estimate that has all the categories and subcategories already available, clicking create new schedule tends to be really, really quick as well. So as we're looking through and we're working with these things too, keep an eye on that one. You can create schedules from your estimates. If you've got your schedule in there and it's working with your estimates, you can also use that schedule to update % complete, which will help you track some of the additional information in the estimate as well. Don't forget as well that we have all the reports available here. If you need a full list of all the reports, instead of clicking through each of these drop-downs, take a look in the report wizard. Most people don't even realize that this is the compilation of all the reports for the estimate. This just allows you to go through and pick which type of report you want to use and move through and generate any of them from there. So again, if you guys need reports, take a look under the report wizard to get the full list of all of them. As you go through from here, you'll also get a little bit of a better description of what each report does. So it's a fabulous tool if you guys are trying to figure out which one is going to fit your needs. So go through and take a look at these as well. The reports themselves always generate quickly on AWS, so you can always go through, take a look at generating one, read through it, see what it's got, get it signed on the spot, and then save it into your project. But again, two big key features in there. Not only can you push it over to QuickBooks, but now you can generate your schedules and tons of great reports from anywhere. If you need to email them out, still an easy process. When you open up one of the documents, there's an email button right there. It works like a champ. And of course, since this is all cloud hosted and you're using the connection tools like AWS Connect, we'll also be passing through all of the different printing options and everything like that. If you have any questions about that too, give us a call. You can always reach us here. For those of you who already have the system in ConstructionSuite, you can always go up to the Help menu to find contact information for us. In the Help menu, you guys will be able to find phone numbers, email addresses, several other things like that. For those of you who don't have access to it, give us a call at 1-800-700-8321 and you'll be able to reach myself and any of our other AWS consultants at any time. Just give us a call and we're happy to talk to you guys about anything that you guys have questions about at that point. And we'll go from there. For now, though, I think we are about out of time. So once again, if you guys have follow-up questions, go ahead and shoot them through. We'll try to take care of the last couple before we let you guys go. For everybody else, hopefully you guys have seen just how powerful it is moving all your information into the cloud, specifically with Amazon. We love their economy of scale. They've got something like 18 different regions that they leverage for us and for you. And so with those, if you guys have your home base in Oregon we've got one of the locations up there that we can set you guys up. If you guys decide to vacation in Australia, no problem. You can still get access to all of this information, and it's just as quick there as it is at home. Or if you guys come down here to work with us in training, we can pull up the same things as well. Lightning fast. Actually, one of the webinars we did, we were actually using one of the Sydney, Australia boxes, and it was just as fast as this one. This one, I think, is our Virginia, one of our Virginia servers, and yeah, they're pretty mind-boggling. So again, if you guys have questions, give us a call, let us know. Otherwise, I want to thank you again for joining us. This is Ian Schaefer and Jordan Davis. We appreciate you guys joining us for this. Don't forget, our last webinar in this series is going to happen next Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock. If you guys have a chance, join us for that. And hopefully we'll have a chance to talk to you guys again real soon. Until then, though, have a great night and a great weekend. Take care, everyone.